All right, so I don't know about you, but I'm excited to start a new sermon series. Here at the Common Place, we usually pick a topic or a passage of scripture, and then we talk about it for a few weeks or a few months. And we just finished up a 9-week series on a passage called Psalm 23 about the Lord is my shepherd. And now we're moving on to just a short little 3-week series that we're calling Living Free. Simply Free is the title of today's sermon. And I don't know if you've ever felt like you just can't get ahead financially. If you've ever been in that situation, as soon as you pay off one loan, it just seems like something else takes its place. As soon as you pay off one medical bill, there's another one. You find yourself back at the doctor again. Or maybe, just about the time that you finally get a job after college, you suddenly encounter those things called student loans, and they suddenly want you to pay for all that college learning that you went to. And the problem with this kind of bondage, oftentimes, that we find ourselves in is during those seasons of our lives when we just feel so strapped for cash, we'll hear stories. We'll hear about a need in someone's life. Someone is in a really bad spot, and you wish that you could be generous and help them, or you come across a nonprofit that is just doing wonderful things around the world, or really needs some money to go to the next level, and you want to give to them, but because you're finances are so tight, you just don't have any margin to give at all. For some of us, you've looked at your income, you filed your taxes at the end of the year, and you just wonder, where did it all go? And what breaks my heart in my own life and on behalf of our whole church is when our lack of financial stability impacts our ability to do God's work in the kingdom around us. We can't give like we want to. We can't serve like we want to because we constantly have to take on more jobs to pay the bills that we have. We can't go like we want to. We really find ourselves oftentimes held in bondage to money. All right? And not necessarily held in bondage to greed, but to debt or to the impact that money can have on us. And sometimes this kind of happens to us because we've adopted expectations, lifestyle expectations, that fuel the habits that keep us in bondage. We adopt lifestyle expectations that fuel the habits that keep us in bondage. We think, well, if we could just have this thing, then we would be happy or free. And really, I want us all to be free financially. I've come to realize that if our church is going to become a generous church, like if we're going to become a kind of church that blesses others, our church has received so much blessing from other churches over the years. We've received grants, and church work teams have shown up. When we were remodeling the upstairs of our coffee shop for our children's ministry, we didn't know how we were going to pay for it, and a church work crew from a place called New Buffalo, they showed up. Not only did they work and build out the walls and the sheetrock, but they paid for all the material, and they were such a blessing to us. And my dream for the Common Place is that someday we can be the kind of church that does that for other people. All right, that's my dream. Because so far in our 9 years, 10 years of existence, it's mostly been like, can we pay our bills this month, right? And so my dream for us is that we'll be able to someday be a generous church. And what I've come to realize is that in order to be a generous church, we've got to be a healthy church financially. And the funny thing is, our church is not like this autonomous thing other than us. Our church doesn't have its own credit score. It doesn't have its own, it is made up of people like me and people like you, all right? And a healthy church needs to have healthy families and individuals. The church is us. And so that's what we're going to talk about over the next 3 weeks is how can we experience some freedom? How can we trust God to give us some margin in our lives, in our finances? And so today we're going to talk about living simply. All right, how do we live simply? And I want to take us to a passage to start off in Hebrews chapter 13, verse 5. In Hebrews 13:5, we read this beautiful verse that says this: keep your life free. Then we get the idea of living free. Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he, that's talking about God has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Keep your life free from love of money and be content with what you have. For he has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And so today, we want to talk for a little bit about what it means to live simply free. How do we live simply free? I think all of us have like a danger store, right? Like if you go into a particular kind of store, you could just spend all day there and all of your money there, right? For some of you, it's any store that has an open sign, right? Shopping is just your love language. For me, you just need to keep me out of any bicycle store. Even though I don't bicycle that much, I like to buy the stuff that enables me to bicycle. Or any kind of a camera shop, which are getting harder and harder to find, or a candy store. Like I am literally a kid in a candy store. Just don't take me into a candy store at all. Just to give you an idea of how much I like to buy bicycle stuff. At one point in my life, I owned 5 bicycles. Now, you might think that's nice, Josh, because that's one for each person in your family. That's not the case. They were all mine. Nobody needs, well, I thought I needed 5 bicycles. But I think all of us have those things in our life. Like you just take me into an outdoor store and you could look at camping equipment and buy all kinds of wonderful things. Maybe you could go to a clothing. Maybe for some of you, it's the Goodwill store. Like you could just browse and buy the Goodwill store all day long, all right? And so today we just want to ask like a simple question of when is enough enough? At what point do we actually say to ourselves, all right, I have enough. Enough is enough. Now, John Rockefeller, he was an incredibly wealthy man, was once asked this, and he said, when is enough enough, John? And he said, well, just a little bit more. That's when enough is. And I think we've all been there. Like we've all thought, if we could just get to this certain income level, then I'd have enough. If we could just get this purchase, that I really want this thing, if I could just move from 4 bicycles to 5 bicycles, then I'll have what I need to know. And then once you get 5 bicycles, guess what? There are more than 5 kinds of bicycles in the world, believe it or not. And I want all of them. All right? So, but as I was thinking about this, I realized that there is this fascinating cultural experiment that most of us, if you've ever been married or engaged to be married, you've probably participated in this wild experiment, and it's called registering for your wedding. And this is what's interesting about this experiment is that you go to a store like Target or Walmart or wherever you like to shop, and they give you a little zapper, all right, a little gun, and you can go around and you can zap whatever your heart desires. It costs you nothing to say, I wish I had that thing. It's like being a kid again. And so you're wandering through and you're like, boy, I could really use some towels. Like, let's start off being practical. Sure, once we get married, we're going to need some towels and some washcloths. But pretty soon you realize, well, what kind of towel? Do I want the really soft ones? Do I want the cheaper ones? And really, there's nothing limiting you in what you zap other than your fiance and what their expectations are. Which, by the way, is just a really great experiment in terms of helping to understand how the other person views stuff in the world. Maybe they grew up in a family where you bought quality, you bought the good thing so that it lasted a long time, and others grew up saying, no, you can't afford the good thing, you buy the cheapest thing. And so you can really work through some conflict resolution in Target as well. Or you go, you're like, all right, we agree that we need a TV for our house. And so you go to the TV section to zap a TV, and then all of a sudden you realize that there are many, many sizes of TVs, and qualities, and definitions. And pretty soon, how big of a TV do we need? Do we need a TV in our living room and in our bedroom? Well, no, we don't need a TV in our bedroom. And so you got to work through these things. Really, the only thing limiting you when you go and you start to zap and register in any store is whether or not you're embarrassed by what people are going to think, right? Whenever they go to Target and they print out the list of, here are all the things that Josh and Sarah want, they're going to have to say, why do Josh and Sarah need, a toaster that slices so many pieces of bread? I don't know what it might be. But really, that's the only thing limiting you. So some of you have experienced that. It's kind of thrilling to go in and have the world open before you. Now, a fascinating thing about God's Word is that it tells the stories of many different people. And some of those people were incredibly wealthy. And so we can actually look at God's Word and look at the lives of some really, really wealthy people and then observe what happened to them in relation to their wealth and their own attitudes towards stuff. All right? And so what we want to look at here today is just quickly a couple passages by a guy named Solomon. Now, Solomon was the son of David. We've been here for the last 9 weeks. We've been talking about David quite a bit. Well, after David passed away, after he died, his son Solomon becomes king. And Solomon achieved a level of wealth that was unprecedented. In fact, I've been reading the story of Solomon in my own personal devotions. And this guy was just using gold like it was, I don't know, like it was pavement, or I don't know. He just covered everything with gold, right? It'd be like he was getting gold by the shiploads. He'd go on these explorations, and he'd send his ships out, and they'd come back with piles of gold. And he would cover things in gold. He would build gold shields to hang in his house. The guy had so much money; it was incredible. And so finally, he writes a book of the Bible called Ecclesiastes. And in Ecclesiastes, he's kind of reflecting on what it's like to have so much money that you can have whatever you want. No holds barred. Anything you want, you can have. And we read some fascinating things. Let me just read to you from Ecclesiastes 5, verse 10. Ecclesiastes 5:10, Solomon writes this. He says, "He who loves money will not be satisfied with money." Now, he knows what he's talking about because he's got a lot of money. "Nor he who loves wealth with his income. This also is vanity." In other words, as Solomon reflected on his life and the lives of other wealthy people, he observed that he was never happy with what he had. And he feels frustrated with this. This is vanity. This is frustrating, he's saying, that you can never be completely happy if your hope is in stuff and in money. The next chapter over, he has another interesting insight. He says in chapter 6, verses 1 and 2, he says, "There is an evil that I have seen under the sun, and it lies heavy on mankind. A man to whom God gives wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing of all that he desires." This guy can have anything. If you dream it, he can have it. Yet God does not give him the power to enjoy them, but a stranger enjoys them. This is vanity as well. It is a grievous evil. In other words, sometimes people have all that they want, and yet in the middle of their yearning for more, they can't even enjoy what they have. Instead, other people come in and they begin to enjoy the thing that they have. I've got some, I think a little illustration to explain this is in order. I would love to have a nice pool, right, on a hot summer day. Just to own a pool. Now, if you know where I live, there's no place to put a pool, all right? But wouldn't it be great to have a pool like, in my fantasy of a pool, I want a deep one with a diving board, maybe a slide for the kids. You know, I don't want an above ground pool. I want a deep one that I can do cannonballs into over and over again. But I've observed people who have pools, and sometimes people I know that have pools get frustrated with them. Because once you get a pool, you've got to buy chemicals for the pool. You've got to clean the pool. You've got to get a cover to put on the pool to keep the bugs out, to keep it at the right temperature. You've got to put a fence around your pool so kids don't accidentally fall into it. You probably have to buy more insurance for your pool. I know people who bought a house with a pool and then filled it in. They got so tired of taking care of their pool. You can come to the point that you would actually resent your pool, right? Meanwhile, if you happen to get a pool, you can be sure that I'm calling you up on the phone. "Hey, can I come swim in your pool? I've got it made." All right? I'm kind of living out Solomon's thing here. Like, I don't have to clean it. I don't have to buy the chemicals for it. All I have to do is pull up and do cannonballs in your pool. It is the best situation. So my hope for this sermon is that God will lay it on some of your hearts to put in a nice in-ground pool. And you can explain to him that you're doing it for the Lord because you promise you'll invite your pastor over to swim in it once it's built. Now, this really isn't a sermon about whether you should or shouldn't have a pool. I'm just saying that sometimes the things we want turn out to be very expensive in our lives, and they cost us more money as we go down them. Jesus explains this in Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. Jesus is a smart guy. And Jesus says this, I love this verse. He says, "Don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth." All right? Don't lay up treasures on earth where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal. Or he could have said, "Don't lay up for yourselves treasures on earth where your pastor will come and do cannonballs in your pool." Right? No. In other words, the stuff that we think we need so much is temporary. It will not last forever. And while we have that thing, it's going to cost us even more. So we should be very careful about the things that we invite into our lives, the things that we set our hopes and our goals on, because they will never satisfy us the way that we want. In fact, they can distract us from the most important things. As I reflected on these rich guys in the Bible, you've got Solomon, who in the middle of writing his book called Ecclesiastes, he finally just throws up his hands, actually kind of at the beginning of it, and he says, it's meaningless. I've had everything you can imagine. He had like 800 wives. Maybe that's why he got so frustrated. I had all of this stuff. It was at my disposal, and it's all meaningless. Or you read the story of Job in the Bible. He was another very wealthy man who at one point loses everything, even his health. Now, Job's perspective is a little more humble. Job says at one point, the Lord gives and the Lord, he takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. But one common denominator that all the rich people in the world have in the past, and all the ones who currently exist, is that they are all either dead or they will die someday. Timothy in the Bible, in 1 Timothy 6, 6 to 8, explains this to us pretty clearly. When it comes to breaking our affection, the way that our heart holds on so dearly to the stuff in our life, I think that Timothy brings some clarity to us in what he writes. He says this, godliness with contentment is great gain. For we brought nothing into the world, and we can take nothing out of the world. But if we have food and clothing, with these we will be content. With these we will be content. We brought nothing into the world, right? Babies don't arrive into the world clutching money or possessions. They are just naked and completely helpless. And then when we die, we get to take nothing with us. Despite what the pharaohs used to think, they would be buried in their pyramids with all of their stuff, hoping that they could take that with them to the afterlife. You can't. You cannot. Stuff will disappoint you. You will never be able to take it with you. Death, in the end, is the great equalizer. There is nothing different between a dead person in the ground and a poor person in the ground, except maybe how big their tombstone is. Other than that, they're both in the end the same. And so I think that gives us a little perspective. Whenever we think about our lives having meaning and purpose, and we start to look in other places for that, whenever we realize that death is the great equalizer, we brought nothing into the world, we can take nothing with us. So in the end, what does contentment look like? Do we all need to become monks and just sell everything and live in a monastery and just go for broke? Or what does contentment look like? And I think that we need to go back to the Hebrews passage in Hebrews 13:5, because really contentment and having the right perspective on stuff comes from finding our worth in God, not in our stuff. What's that Hebrews verse say again? It says, keep your lives free from the love of money, be content with what you have, for God has said, and this is the key, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. You kind of combine that promise with what Timothy says about you brought nothing into the world, you can take nothing out of it. The only thing that is of lasting value is our relationship with Jesus Christ. And he promises to never leave you nor forsake you. Your friends, whose approval you are trying to win with your stuff, you're trying to impress them with how big or deep your pool is, or how many bicycles you own, they will leave you eventually. Their approval of you will be gone. Don't try to impress them. Instead, what I want to encourage the commonplace in my own heart towards is to strive for godliness in our interaction with stuff. Obviously, stuff is important. We need a bed to sleep on. We need a car to drive around in. But let's recognize that Jesus is enough. We have to realize that true contentment is found in the one who will never leave us or forsake us. Most of us have all that we need in terms of food and clothing right now. And we have a lot more than that, actually. But perhaps not all of us have all of Jesus that we could have. Jesus' life was one of simplicity. If you look at Jesus' own interaction with the way he handled stuff, it was fascinating. He's born into an ordinary family. He becomes a carpenter like his father. He probably has a few tools. But he leaves all of that stuff in order to follow God's purpose on his life, and he becomes this itinerant, wandering preacher. He didn't have a home or any real estate. In fact, sometimes people would give Jesus and his disciples money, and so they would keep it in a money bag. And you read what Jesus does is he picks a guy named Judas, the guy who later betrays him, to be the one who holds on to the money bag. He's like the team treasurer. Later we read that Judas was a pretty bad treasurer. He was taking money out of it. And you wonder to yourself, Jesus, if you're really omniscient and all-knowing, why would you pick such a rascal like Judas to be the treasurer, right? If you really know everything. But I think that Jesus just didn't care. Like, it didn't matter that much to him how much money he had. He recognized that he had something of eternal value. And that his death on the cross to set us free from sin also set us free from the power of stuff. So my hope for the commonplace and for myself is that we would fight for contentment by living simply. That we would fight for contentment by living simply. Now you can get rid of all the stuff in your home and still desperately want it. All right? So in other words, just deciding to get rid of some stuff and living more simply doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be free from grief or that you'll finally be content. But I think that it is a practicalness to fighting for contentment in your life by choosing to live simply. That is one of the ways we do battle against our attachment to stuff. So what are some practical ways that we can just learn to let it go? What are some ways that we can simplify our lives so that we can be content with what we have and live with eternal purposes in mind? Well, here's just some tidbits. For instance, if you go to your closet and you find stuff in your closet you haven't worn in a year, it might be time to just get rid of it. Just give it away. Sell it at the church yard sale. If you go into your closet or into your garage and you find something that you forgot that you even owned, maybe you should just get rid of that thing. You didn't even know you had it to begin with. I don't have 5 bikes anymore. Actually, I do have 5 bikes, but there's one for each of my family now. I'm down to 2 bikes personally. If you have to dream up a special event to wear that outfit or to utilize that thing in your life, maybe it's time to let it go. If it costs you money and keeps you in debt and you don't really need that thing, sell it. Get rid of it. If you're keeping something only to please the person who gave it to you, get rid of it. Let it go. Let's move as a church from a place where we hold tightly to stuff to a place where we hold it with open hands. And we recognize that Jesus is the one who gives us true and lasting contentment. We're holding a church yard sale this Saturday, all right? The money from this yard sale, we're going to designate to go to something other than ourselves. And so I would encourage you this week, like here's a practical way that you can live this out. Go home, just go through your stuff, figure out what you don't need or want any longer, and then just drop it off at the church yard sale. Any leftover stuff that's left over, we're just going to take it and give it to the Salvation Army. I think that's what we did last time. Is that right? We don't want it back anymore, all right? We're just going to get rid of it. So I would encourage you to bring it down to the East Main Street United Methodist Church that morning and drop it off, and we'll just work together to transform some of this stuff that we've got into kingdom purposes. Now, I don't at all want to leave you feeling guilty or advocating a sort of legalism in the sense that, like, we could go around and boast. I've got less stuff than you've got, right? I'm more holy than you because I've learned this, but that's not at all what we're moving towards. I'm just simply saying, let's let go of the stuff that doesn't matter so that we can hold on to the things that really do matter. Now, one of the things that we've talked about as we go over these next 3 weeks, next week we're going to talk about debt and then living generously, is we wanted to kind of have people in the church come up and share about what this looks like in their lives and maybe give some personal stories. And so if you know my wife, you know that she gets rid of stuff even before we want her to get rid of it. We just constantly don't know where things are because she's thrown it out in our home. And so if there's anybody I know who lives simply, it is Sarah. And so I've asked Sarah to come up And I think tonight we were talking, I don't think I've ever had Sarah come up and share the stage with me. But here she is, the world's most, I don't know if I should say the world's most simple woman. That might not come out right.
I'm a simple
You're
woman.
simple, that's right. So anyway, Sarah's going to come up and just share a little bit about what this looks like in her life.
I didn't prepare anything because apparently I have a large philosophy on minimalism, and whenever I have too much things, it just makes me weirded out. So even thoughts make me scared. So I apologize if I just verbally vomit all over you. But for us, minimalism just kind of comes out of necessity. I found that there was two things that made me realize that I was a minimalist. Number one, when we got married and had kids, we had a budget. And so if we wanted to eat, it was either a cute new outfit or it was hot dogs, and we chose hot dogs. So I like to eat, and so that's kind of one of the reasons why I decided that, stuff wasn't all that important to me. Food was important to me, so that happened. And then we had kids, and all of a sudden we brought home this 4-pound little baby, and like 9 million other things, like, a bassinet and a crib and a diaper genie, and you're just thinking, why does this little person need so much? And so that drove me crazy too. And so here we are tripping over our stuff, and I just decided I don't need this. So minimalism came out of the need to prioritize. I want to be able to spend time with my family, and I don't like to clean up after them. So that's how that worked. So I kind of live by two basic principles. Number one is simplicity. The less we have, the less we have to take care of. And so if it's a matter of having lots of toys for our kids to play with and for them to clean up, we're just not going to do that. We're going to have less so that we have more time to do other stuff. And number two is to like our stuff, not to love it. Because if I like something and we ruin it, then I'm sad or I'm upset and I'm frustrated with it. We do not own a white couch because my kids put peanut butter on everything that we own. Like, I don't know how it happens, but like, if I want to continue to love my kids, I can't love my stuff, or else they're going to ruin it. We're going to, this old Piper song, yes, I know. Never you. So that's just kind of the way that we do it, and that frees us up to we can go and we can catch crayfish in the mud because the kids have play clothes. If they ruin them, it's not a big deal. Like, if you've ever met our van, we drive a 2005 golden minivan. Like, it's the ugliest thing you've ever seen, but it works for us because we can drive it to weird places and not worry about the bumper falling off. Like, who cares? We're just going to go for it. So that's why minimalism has become really important to me, because I don't want to take the time to love my stuff and to worry about it falling apart and to worry about if it's going to work or not. And I don't want to take the time to say we can't do that because we have to worry about other things, I don't know. That was just a whole lot of mess there. If you would like to talk to me further about what I think about simplicity, if you'd like me to help you with that, I would be happy to go into your house and say, do you really need that? Do you really need that? Because that's what I do. Like, we have mandatory purges in our house. There's no need for us to have 37 stuffed animals on the bed. It's just ridiculous. So I'm like, pick one. And there's tears and there's crying, but then at the end of the day, when it comes to cleanup time, there's a lot less here to try. So, anyhow, I'm sorry, Josh. This is why we don't.
For counseling our kids in their future, whatever they're scarred by.
Yeah, I think I've created little hoarders, but that might be a different story. But yeah, and I encourage you, if you think you have too much stuff, but you don't know what to do about that, start with the drawer. Everybody has one junk drawer. I know it. I have a junk drawer. Start with that drawer. Just take what you need, get rid of the rest, and just don't worry about it. Even if it's just like putting it in a bag and dropping it off behind the Salvation Army. Just do it. Like, one little drawer.
Enough clap for me. All right. Again, Getting rid of stuff is not the ultimate goal. Living simply isn't the ultimate goal. Being content in Christ is the goal. All right? Recognizing that He is of the most value, and that He has done all that He has done on the cross for us, so that we can find our hope and our future and our contentment in Him. That's my prayer for us. That we be a church that moves towards contentment through simplicity, so that we can love Christ and love our world the best that we can. So I'm going to pray for us and ask the worship team to come on up at this time. Dear Jesus, I pray today for the Commonplace. I pray that we would be a church that would know what it means to be so grateful for the things that we've been given, and that reflects that gratefulness in finding our contentment and our hope in You rather than the stuff around us. I pray that we'd be a generous people, generous in sharing with what we have, and generous in giving, and generous in our time and the way we spend it with our family and our friends. Help us to find our truest and most deepest contentment in You, Lord, because that's where the only truest source of happiness comes from. And I pray, Lord, just a special blessing this coming Saturday on the churchyard. So I pray that not only would You help us to clean out our lives, but also that You would bring people along who would be able to use that stuff in a profitable way in their lives, and that You would help us be able to bless others with what we learn that day. We pray this all in Jesus' name. Amen.